What makes a really good leader? When you think about the word leader, you think, oh, this is the person who sets the vision, the people who will really set the direction, and they have the ability to inspire the troops, and they have the ability to really set wise direction for the organization and to create that vision for everyone and help them to see that vision, and here's what we're aiming for, and then inspiring and motivating them to go and to really fulfill that vision. And yet, when I ask executives what really a great leader is, one of the big answers I get is, you know what, they're great managers of people. So, yeah, there may be a difference between leading and managing, but managing is what I hear executives say. I want them to be able to really lead and manage that team. But what does that mean? Leading a team, really managing a team. What are the main things? Like being a great leader of people and manager of people. What really does that mean? Well, let's break it down. And there's really three areas that you want to look at. First, if you're going to manage a team of people and to do it really well, of course, at the end of the day, the work has to get done. You've got to manage the work. You've got to manage the people, manage the team to do the work, to accomplish the work, to do a great job with the work so that we can meet our goals and meet our outcomes. So you got to know the goals. What are the goals that we're aiming for? You've got to then know, okay, what are the tasks, the projects, the activities that need to be done to reach those goals? And then you got to say, okay, so here's the stuff that needs to get done. So how is that going to happen? And it starts with really great hiring. So if at all possible, to be part of that hiring process with human resources, with HR, or you might have inherited a team and really do your best to get that team. And if you can't hire them, at least you can grow them well. You can delegate well. That's the next step after hiring, is to delegate well and figure out, okay, who's good at what, who already knows what, who needs to grow in what. This needs to be done. This person knows how to do it. This needs to be done. This person is going to grow. I want to grow them so they can learn how to do it. You're going to figure out your delegation system. You always want a great delegation system. And then you got to give feedback well. You can't just delegate and say, see ya, and expect that things are going to go well because you have an idea of how it needs to be done or what needs to be done, and hopefully you really folded that into your delegation system while not smothering them or overly strong-arming them. But then there's got to be a feedback system where you're involved in checking back and what's going on and seeing how things are going or how things went and giving feedback for course adjustment or for next time. So great leaders are great leaders of teams and managing the work and making sure that they know their people, they know their team, and they have a plan for how the work can best get done, and they're executing on that plan. Secondly, great leaders develop their people. They don't just say, I'm going to hire brilliantly and then bring in a group of rock stars and then just let them loose. That would be great, and I'm not saying don't do that. It's just the let them loose part. Well, yeah, you want to let them loose to do their best work. You don't want to just then let them do their best work and ignore them. You want to grow them. You want to develop them. It really has to do with this principle of reciprocity, this principle of investment reciprocity. You know, if you invest in your people, then they want to invest in you. They want to invest in the department. They want to invest in the company. If you invest in them, then they are more likely to invest their efforts to a greater extent to the mission of what you're trying to achieve. So create the kind of business, or if you're in a larger company, the kind of department that people find out about, they hear about, and they fight to get into your business. They fight to get into your group because they know that you are a developer of people. And so, yes, you are managing the work and making sure that the work gets done and the goals get reached. And along the way, you are developing the people. And so they want to run through walls for you. They want to leap tall buildings for you. And other people want to get in there because they see all of this goodwill, they see all of this investment in them, they see that they're not only going to benefit the business, but working with you is going to really benefit them ultimately. So show them you develop people, show them you invest in people, and watch what happens to the morale, to the output, and to the growth of your group. Third, great leaders know where to spend their time. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see leaders making is where they spend their time in terms of leading their team and managing their team. You know, traditionally what happens is that you'll have a bell curve. You'll have your highest performers here on one end of the bell curve. You'll have most of your performers somewhere in the middle. They're your middle performers. And then you'll have, hopefully not more than one, but you'll have a small group of your lower performers. And what happens is, it's very typical, that's what the statistics shows, and what's typical for managers and leaders is that they look at that bell curve and they say, oh, I've got to solve the problem, meaning the squeaky wheel down here, the things that aren't going so well, the low performing people. The leader allows themselves to get sucked in to all of their time trying to support and teach and coach and grow the lower level performers. And of course, that would be great if you could turn them around. And sometimes that absolutely happens. It's simply that it can take a lot of time, it can take a lot of energy. And while you're doing that, you're turning your back on that big group of middle performers in the middle of that bell curve. That is a fertile field of people to invest in, that you could invest to bring them up to the higher performance. And you're also turning your back on your higher performers, and you turn your back on them and you don't really invest in them. It's really easy for them to walk out the door and take their talent elsewhere, maybe even to the competition. It's the last thing you want. So even though it is so tempting, and it's just a knee-jerk reaction that most, if not all managers, find themselves get just yanked down to giving all their time to the lower performers, you want to turn that around and you want to consciously limit that time, do what you need to do, get some support maybe from your human resources group as well. But then be sure that you are investing in your middle performers and your top performers so that they don't leave and that they continue to grow so you can have an increasingly successful business. Great leaders are great managers of people and teams. They manage the work well, they develop people, and they be sure that they're really thoughtful about their ratio of where they spend their time. And they are aware and they do not get sucked into spending all their time investing in the lower performers, some of whom may have a turnaround experience and some of whom may not. And then all that time you invested as the leader is just gone when possibly that person is gone. So rather, you really want to think about investing in your middle and your top performers. And you do this, think about how you manage the work, how you develop people, where you really spend your time, and you're going to do some really important pieces of the important work of leadership.